Okay, guys, let's talk about fluid power symbols. This time we are going to talk about hydraulic pumps. The first symbol that we have is a fixed displacement, single rotation, single direction pump. You can see the single direction by this arrow over here. It indicates there's only one direction of the flow. This will be the intake going out, coming in here, going out this way, and the way the arrow shows the flow going through. Single rotation will be this arrow over here, which only has one direction for the shaft of the pump. So that is a fixed displacement, single rotation, single direction pump. Now we can move to the next pump, and we have a fixed displacement, birotational, bidirectional. You see bidirection again, the symbols. It shows flow. It can go in this direction or it can go in this direction. So it's a directional on the flow, and birotational, as you can see on this arrow over here, it means the shaft can rotate either right hand rotation or left hand rotation on this pump. We go to the next unit, and we see a variable displacement pump. Variable displacement pump with a single rotation on the shaft and a single direction. Flow only goes on one direction. It is a variable displacement as indicated with the arrow across the body of the pump, and also the variable displacement pumps, they are drawn with a drain. So you have to put the drain and the arrow to have a complete drawing of a variable displacement pump. We go to the next unit, and we have this time a variable displacement with two directions and two rotations. Flow coming in both directions, and the shaft rotates in both directions. You don't always have a birotational with a bi-directional pump. Many pumps can have a birotational, bidirectional, where the flow can come in and out at either ports, and the shaft could rotate only in one direction, and you still have the ability to make the fluid go from one side or the other one. This one is drawn with a birotational, but it doesn't always have to be that way. Let's go to the following units, and we see now we getting into the controls of the pump. This pump over here, for example, we have a variable displacement, the arrow going across, pressure compensated, that'll be this arrow on the side of the pump. That means it has a control of the pump, that is a pressure compensated control. And on these ones, we have a single direction pump and a bidirectional pump with both units being of a single rotation. So this is the example that I was telling you over here. This pump above, for example, it has two directions, two rotations. And this one below has two directions with a single rotation. That is a very, very, very common pump for many, many applications. So we have that pump also. Then we go to the next set of pumps, and this once again is a variable displacement pressure compensated pump. I put this one in here just to show the difference, that sometimes the drawing of the pressure compensator can be drawn with a box outside the pump. That can indicate a pressure compensator, or you can draw it with an arrow inside the pump. So these two are exactly the same drawings, just a different way of drawing the pressure compensator for the units. So let's go to the next unit over here, and now we get into the big more detailed drawings. For example, these two units over here, these are the abbreviation, the shortcuts, the short version of a pressure compensated unit. Now, keeping in mind, for example, now over here we have a pressure compensated pump. It's this very same pump, but with a much detailed drawing over here, in which you have the pressure compensator valve is right here. It's actually this unit over here, and it shows the connection on how it works inside the pump by varying the displacement and the cylinders inside the unit. And so it can de-stroke the pump and stroke it back up and do all the good stuff that it does. But it shows the more complete drawing of a pressure compensated unit. It is important to notice that many manufacturers have different detailed schematics on how a pressure compensator is drawn, maybe because many of the pumps may function in a different way. Even though you can accomplish the same thing, you can accomplish the pressure compensated system, you can do it in different ways. And once we get into the controls of the pumps, different manufacturers, they draw it in a more detailed way, and they draw it in a different way, you know, because they have different ways on how to accomplish the same thing. So for example, this one over here is the pressure compensated drawing, and this one over here is a pressure compensated with load sensing, variable displacement, single direction, pressure compensated load sensing pump. This one would be the pressure compensated over here on the bottom, and this one would be the load sensing. Sometimes also the load sensing, you must have, many manufacturers don't draw it, but you must have a restriction between the pump and the load sensing line. So many times this is not supplied by the manufacturer. It's usually added as a different item outside the circuit, but many times they draw it within the circuit so it can show the function of the pressure compensate of the load sensing unit. So once we get into load sensing, once we get into pressure compensator, once we get into horsepower limiter, and all other sort of controls that you have for the unit, the best way is to draw a more detailed drawing of the system, and especially because it's not really standard. Different manufacturers have different ways on how to do it, so it's better if they just draw it and put it in a detailed drawing. You know, that's at least what I think. A lot of manufacturers also do have a detailed drawing of the controls, so that it helps very much on interpreting the hydraulic drawings and the controls for the hydraulic pumps. So anyway, guys, this is the video for today. Just a quick reference on the most common drawings for hydraulic pumps, and this is fluid power symbols with hydraulic pumps. So thank you very much for your attention, and we'll see you next time. Make sure to subscribe, make sure to watch other videos in this channel, and thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.